Hello, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. My name is George. I'm a mentor in the GATS program for 2020. And today I'll be doing a series on a quick lab, automating the deployment of networks using Terraform. Okay, it's no different from the previous one using Deployment Manager. The setup is the same, just the syntax for the files used in this process are a bit different. So first of all, we will open this in a private browser. Always do that. It prevents your credentials, other credentials from being used. So we're going to use, you need to use the email associated with the Plural site with the GATS program, which of course is known on Plural sites to open or get into this quick lab session. Okay, so of course this lab should last for 2 hours and you score a total of 15 marks. And then when you start any lab, of course, you need to read through the overview. Look at this image, which represents the architecture we'll be designing today. GCP architecture will be the infrastructure architecture we'll be designing today. And then they have the objectives of the lab, which are also important that you look at so that you're sure you're doing everything that you ought to be doing in this particular lab. So we quickly start this lab. Like I said previously, when you have been doing a lot of labs, it becomes easier for you to do. You know what to do and it becomes faster. But initially, it might be slow. In fact, some labs might not even be completed as you try to become more conversant with the environment. Okay, so the lab here is simple. You read and follow the instructions, and of course, get the results that are expected in the objective. So let's open this console. We will come here and pick up this email because that's the one you'll be using. It's been provided by Quick Labs. You don't need to use, you shouldn't use yours. And then take the password, of course, from here. And then we will move forward by accepting this. Then we will confirm. You don't need to update this email. It doesn't belong to you. So we confirm there and wait for the next page to come up, next window to come up. There we will now accept the terms and then move on. Okay, so while that is coming on, let's look at the tasks we're supposed to carry out. So the first task is to set up Terraform and Cloud Shell. So I'll be opening up, activating the shell and then opening up the editor at the same time. I usually do this by default. It saves me a lot of time. If I get to use it, it's already open. If I won't use it eventually, then it doesn't matter. I just close it or at the end of the lab. All right, so let's agree to the terms and then click on agree and continue. Let me activate the Cloud Shell. Let me get rid of this one so that we have more real estate. And I'll take this one up a bit. Let me zoom in. Okay, zoom in makes it such that you can see my code better. So we activate it here. And then let me click on this at the same time. So the editor is coming up while the terminal is being activated. So first thing we do, we need to check the version of Terraform that is pre-installed in this, or it's going to be used in this lab. I expect the lab, okay, the Cloud Shell is not up and running, so let's give it a few minutes. Okay, so that's up and running. Let's paste that in. Okay, so the version is 0.12.24. Okay, all right, so that's the same version. Then we create a directory, tfnet. Paste that. Let's check to see. Okay, this is still coming up. Let's leave this window open. Let's go back here, and then of course we're supposed to launch our text editor, which we have done already. So first thing, we'll create a file called the provider file. This file actually tells Terraform which of the providers it should be using in setting up infrastructure. So in this case, we are using Google. Okay, so So Terraform uses a plugin-based architecture to support the numerous infrastructure and service providers available. Each provider is its own encapsulated binary distributed separately from Terraform itself. So we'll be using that provided by Google. So let's go back here. All right, so you see the directory we created in terminal is actually here. So we are to create a folder. You could do that from that end. You do that. Oh, sorry. We're supposed to do it from that end. So let's get rid of that one. Let's go back here. Please make sure you right click on the name. Then you create the file. It's a file, not a folder. Let's close that. A file. Okay. File is called provider.tf. Then we will paste this into that file, and then of course it's auto saved, but we'll still save it at the end. Okay, so we'll change into this folder and then initialize Terraform. Okay, so we will go back here, click there, and then of course, okay, the initialization process is complete and it was successful. So the next thing we do, we create a file called managementnet.tf. Okay, let's copy this one. Let's go back up here and come back here and then right click again and then new file and then paste that in. Okay, so what are we supposed to put in that new file? We're supposed to put this. This is the code that should go in there. It's creating a resource. This will be the type. This will be the name. Of course, that same name will be here, and then of course the properties will go here. So we don't need to copy this because we'll be filling out this, replacing this placeholder text with the proper values. So let's go down, scroll down, and then look at what we have here. So this is a network, and then it's auto create subnets false. Okay, so it won't be creating subnets. I think you'll have to manually do that. Okay, so let's that's a custom network on GCP. Let's click on that and then reload. I'm sorry, my network is out. Okay, let's reload that. Give it a few minutes. Okay, let's go back. Okay, so when we do that, of course the file will be auto saved, but you should save it just in case. Then subsequently we will add a subnet, this subnet, to that file. So let's give the file a moment to come online. Okay, we're still having, let's reconnect here. So my network went out, so let's just give it a few moments to connect. Okay, all right, so this one is back, but the editor is still coming up. All right, so what are we supposed to do? Okay, we're supposed to paste this one into that file we created. All right, so let's use the editor. We could also use the terminal if you wanted to. Okay, network is still giving me issues. All right, so it's back. So we're here. Let's paste that one in. So we pasted the first network, the network we were going to create, and then we will create this, a subnet that will reference the network we just created. Let's be sure this, let's take that one back. Okay, you can see here this particular value actually references this. Okay, that's management net. So this will need to be created first before this is created. And if you don't do it that way using this .self link, then you get an error. Okay, so the next thing we do, we create a firewall rule. We don't need to pick this one up because we'll be replacing these values here and here. So let's go down and pick the finished copy. So that is what we should be picking up. So if you notice, each one starts with the resource name. So that tells you it is actually on its own. Okay, so Don't get confused and actually paste one into the other. Okay, so let's go up and then say configure the VM. So in terms of the VM, we're going to create a module, and then from that module, we use that module to create subsequent instances, compute instances. So it makes it possible such that you have a set of configurations that are universal, then you set those ones up, and the only thing you do is simply just create instances using that template. Create instances using that template. Okay, so let's create a module. We'll create a directory instance and create a file in there, main.tf. So let's start that one. Let's create a folder instance. Okay, and then we'll create a file in there called main.tf. So make sure you right click on this tfnet. If you don't and you run any of the Terraform commands, it will look for files, configuration files, and if it doesn't see, of course, it will not run. So what do we put into that file? We'll create a resource. Okay, let's look at the finished copy of the resource. Here it is. Let's put that one in there. Okay, so as you can see, these are values that have been defined at the top of the file. This one has a default value, and then of course these values are referenced here, okay, and down here. So for the default value of instance, this will be used. Then for these other ones, they will actually be provided in the other files that will be using this module. So let's go ahead and see those files. Okay, we're supposed to save that. So now we add this file to the management.net file. Sorry, we add this text module. This code that references the module we just created inside the management net.tf file. So let's go back here. Let's come here, and then let's come down here and put that there. Okay, so as you can see, this is referenced. This is the value we created in this file, and of course that will be passed to this used here when creating the instance. Okay, all right, and of course this one also references this subnet, so that subnet has to be set up first. If you look up, that is the subnet here. Okay, let's come up a bit. That's the subnet. Let me go back down and check that one. Okay, so we have management subnet US. So let's look. Okay, there it is. So this has to be created first. This one has to be created first, the whole of this, before that before you can create an instance. So that is how it should be, or how it will be done. Okay, so we are good to go, and let's see what happens. So the first thing we need to do is to format, initialize, plan, and then apply. Let us see if we will get the kind of output, expected output. So to save all that we've done, click here and click on all save. Come back here, the terminal, and let's clear the terminal, and then say Terraform format. Okay, that's done. So sorry, Terraform form init. All right, and all is well. Then Terraform plan. Let's see the plan. Okay, and we have 4 to add, 0 to change, 0 to destroy. You can ignore this. It's just a warning. The formats are a bit different because of the version of Terraform we're using. Okay, so that's been done. Then the next thing is that we apply. Let's do Terraform apply. Okay, and we'll ask, and we will say yes. We will ask if we want to perform the action. So we have 4 resources as indicated by the plan that we want to create. So let us open this our instance window or page in another tab. Let's do the same with our networks so that we can see the changes. So a lot of stuff has been created. Said management network has been created, but okay, all right, so we're good to go. And then the next thing will be to confirm the VPC that was created, the firewall rules and the instances before we check on our progress. So let's check the VPC first. Let's click to bring this in. Okay, so that's the management. Let's go to firewall rules. Let's check on firewall rules, and then let's check on instances. If we actually created an instance, we didn't. Okay, let's refresh. Okay, so there's the firewall rule. Let's go back up. Okay, let's close this. We don't need that. Okay, so that's the management VM we have created. So we check on our progress and it works out. So let's go down. Now we will create another file, private.tf. okay, so for our private network, let's go back here, right click on the parent folder and then new file. Select that and put that in and click on that. Let's come back here. So first thing first, we are going to put a network there, and of course auto create sub network is set to false. Let's click on this one, come here, paste that in, come back here now, and then we create a subnet. Okay, drop it there, create another subnet, drop it there. Okay, so one is in Europe West 1 region and the other is in US Central 1, each referencing the private net VPC. Okay, all right, so then we create firewall rule down here. Let's go down here, put the firewall rule, and of course it allows TCP traffic on port 22, port 80 and port 3389 for RDP traffic. Okay, so we are done with that. Now we configure our VM instances. Okay, let's click on that one. Let me drop that here. No, we need to go down a bit, put that one outside there. Now you notice that this also references or uses the module that we created here. Okay, it passes in the name and the zone, okay, and then tells it which of, and then references the private subnet which will be used by this instance. Okay, so that subnet will need to be created first before this will be created to forestall any errors. Okay, so we are done with that. We will save all, and then we will now repeat the same process, which is Terraform format first, then Terraform init. Oh, sorry, I missed that. I missed the T there. Init. Then Terraform form plan. Let's see our plan. We should have 4 resources we're working. Okay, so let's go up 5 actually. We could check that. Okay, so 1, that's the network, 2 subnets, the firewall rule and an instance. So that's 5. Okay, so now we go ahead to apply our plan. Okay, we'll be asked if we want to go ahead with this plan, and we say yes, and of course we will check the VPC first and then check the firewall rule. So let's click here, let's wait for this one. Let's go back here to see what is happening. So it's being created, we wait for that one, and then we'll confirm it's been created before we move forward. Okay, so with that done, we go to carry out the next one, which of course the confirmation. Then we ping. Let's go back up. We're supposed to connect and ping. I might have skipped. Okay, there is no pinging in this one, just the one below. Okay, let's go down. So we are creating this. All this here is being created. We'll check on that when the creation process is true. So let's check again. All right, so five resources were added. Let's check our VPC refresh. Click to, okay, so that's a private net. Let's check the firewall rule. Okay, so private. Okay, let's check the VPC. Let's refresh. Okay, so that's it, private. So they're all been created. So let's go to the next one. The task is to connect to management US VM. So let's go to management US VM. Let's close this panel. Let's SSH into it. Okay, let's bring it down here. And then we will take the private IP address of this one, of this instance, and then we will try to ping it from the management net -US -VM instance. Okay, so let's do that as instructed. Sorry, 3B. All right, let's see. Okay, it shouldn't be successful because they are in on different networks. So let's bring out the network column. Okay, so when we do that, okay, different networks, so they cannot communicate using their private IP addresses even when they are both on the same zone or in the same zone. Okay, so what's the next thing we'll do? Let's stop. Let's close this window because I don't think we'll be using it anymore. If we do, we'll just simply come and bring it up once more. Okay, so we'll click on our progress and then create my network and its resources. So we'll create another file called my network.tf. All right, so we come here, right click and new file, this and this. Click OK. All right, so we come down here, and of course the first thing is to put a network resource there. Okay, and then after that, and of course said auto create subnetwork. So this is an auto mode network, so it will be creating subnets in each of the available regions by default. So you don't need to create any subnets here. So here now we will now create okay, here we'll create a firewall rule. Okay, that applies to that network and instances on that network. Then we'll create our VMs, 2 VMs. Okay, all right, so each of them, of course, like I said before, accessing the main module that we created and using that to as a template to create the instance. So you could actually have several of these files and then you create different configurations, use different configurations for your instances. Okay, so what next are we supposed to do? Okay, we go through the formality, we format, we initialize, we plan, and then we apply the plan. Okay, let's do that here. First of all, let's save all here. Then we open the terminal, and of course I use my up arrow key. First thing I do, use the up arrow key to bring up my previous commands, saves me typing. Then we plan, should be about 4 resources or thereabout. Okay, let us see, there are 4. So these are the resources and this is what is expected to be created. Okay, so you can actually look through here and see what you want to create, and if it is not to your liking, of course you can change it because the plan has not been applied yet. Okay, so let's apply the plan now. All right, so when we do that, we will of course start by checking. Let's see. All right, so we accept the requests of the question that asks if we want to apply that plan. We do. All right, so let's refresh this. Okay, it hasn't come up yet, so let's be patient. It's creating it. After that, we will check as we did previously, and of course connect to my net US VM instance using SSH, and then we will try to ping my net EU VM's internal IP from that location. Okay, so all right, so it's coming up. Let's just be patient. Okay, just give it a moment. Okay, so 4 resources were added, 0 was changed, 0 was destroyed. So let's check here first, the networks. Okay, bring this one up, bring this one. Okay, that's it, my network. So we have subnets in each region. And let's check the firewall rules. Okay, do we have one there? Do we have firewall rule? We should. Let's refresh that. I don't think it's showed up yet. Okay, so that's the firewall rule. So we are good to go. So what's the next thing we do? We connect to this instance. We have not checked on an instance. Let's click this. Let's refresh. So that's it. So we connect to this instance and then ping this one. Let us this way, US, click on that. Okay, and the terminal comes up. Change the width and the height, and then of course we ping command. Let's find the private, let's copy the private IP of the other VM, which is this. Okay, and the private IP is this. Click on this, go back to this and paste that in, and let's see what happens. Okay, so it works. That's because both of them let me come here, both of them are in different zones but on the same network, so they can use their internal IP to communicate. So check here for our progress, and that is the end of the lab. After that, please close your resources and then end the lab, so that those resources will be freed and it will be made available for other users. So you click here to close this, click on this. Okay, you can leave your rating and then submit, and that ends the lab. Thank you for watching, and leave your likes, please.